So what is your role within your small spaces towards contributing to these numbers? That's one of the things we want to do with the outcome of this. If we are targeting 1,000 jobs, and these jobs that we are talking about is micro work-related jobs and online platform-related jobs, what is it that you are doing that can also contribute to this? So what can we do together? But because this is a partnership, together we're also saying, can we reach 10,000 young people with some training and skills opportunities using digital platforms and online spaces?
Digital microwork as a form of employment or work that is performed online, typically through digital platforms, and involves completion of small standardized tasks or micro tasks that can be easily digitized and distributed over the internet. Key features: task-based, online platforms. They include work like data entry, data labeling, coding.
We as NOTU, we know that the jobs are scarce, but we have few factors which we should consider for social dialogue and the digital skills in Uganda. We want to ensure that these refugees are organized in a digital space and in the unions. We want to ensure that they are supported in social hubs, infrastructure, tools to aid the digital skills, for example, in computer labs and the power supply.
We need to prepare people to do not create a new digital divide. The digital divide nowadays is not only about accessibility. It's going to be also about having access to this new technology.
Our labor force participation rate is just at 48%. So what are the rest doing? Because if you're going to work alone and independent, be your own employer, there is a certain set of soft skills that you require. For instance, self-drive, because nobody now will wake you up or check that are you at work. When you wake up in the morning, you're already in your office, literally. So you need to be able to have self-drive, the ability to work independently.
There's a huge challenge there of responsibility. Who's responsible for these workers who are going on platforms and getting work, from the boda drivers to the freelancer to the musician, to you and me?
I see Ugandans, we are all refugees in our own setting, especially when we are locked out of the world. And as Jumia talks about the expansion, and NITES brings solutions of having internet connectivity at a parish level, is a very wonderful thing.
You need to ask people what they need first before you actually bring things, right? So I think the government and the stakeholders should think about the infrastructure. How do we create like spaces for people to access the digital tools and access the digital skills before we talk about the digital economy?
NITA has now covered 50% of the districts. We're now in 48% of the districts in Uganda with fiber optic cable for internet. In the next 4 years, we now partnered with World Bank, and the more that internet fits to the parish levels and to the farthest areas, including refugee and host communities, with penetration of internet, masks for broadband with the host communities, and telecenters for them to come and work, because they have no laptops and they have no smartphones. So we have a couple of initiatives, and we're happy to engage with the ILO and all the other parties on how to go forward.
I think if we work strongly and closely with different stakeholders such as the government and private sector, we shall be able to give access to the tools that young people need, such as expanding the broadband coverage, because you see, the internet is the lifeblood of the digital economy. Data drives that. So data currently is still expensive. The cost of the digital device is still expensive. So if we work with the private sector people and try to find a way to subsidize the cost of these devices and try to find a cost benefit solution to lower down the cost of putting up the infrastructure, I think we will get a win-win situation where we're able to see more young people participate in the digital economy.
We need to think that we can bring infrastructure in a smaller pieces to children and to young people. And that's what we have when we talk about education and the great progress that Uganda has in the education sector. We are often reminded as UNICEF, when we talk about digital, we say, but look, there are no classrooms in Chegegwa that was hit by a flood. And you talk about the digital, and our response is that we shouldn't wait. Because if you wait, the generation of Ugandan young people will not have jobs in coming 20 years, what we're seeing now. The skills of the future are not only vocational skills. But what the World and Davos Conference is saying every year, the future skills are about curiosity, adaptability, flexibility, problem solving, critical thinking. These are the bunch of the soft skills or 21st century skills and the digital skills. So if we can bring those skills to children, to young people closer, then we can link them more.
To bring low the prices of internet, opening up to new companies, because this is the way to really support and bring down also those costs if we want to include a bigger internet access in the whole country, with particular focus on the rural area.
With food reduction right now, where most of our refugees have been looking up to, waiting for food, we need now to talk about digitalization. As government, as OPM, we are really welcoming this, and we are happy to support this to the end till we see that our refugee communities and their hosts are actually engaged in digital world.
We are setting up 6 multipurpose community centers in Southwest and in West Nile. NITA Uganda already accepted to extend their fiber network to Arua, and now they want to extend it to Rhino, they want to extend it to Isingiro. And some of these opportunities are the ones which unlock the infrastructure challenges. How do we ensure that the voices from these discussions actually find their way into a national discourse? Because once the strategy gets approved, prioritization for financing at a certain point, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years, but then is now tagged to those strategies.